creatives, Carrie Salee here of the Creative Life Studios, and it's time for part 3 in my series on clear gessos and how they affect your Bible journaling. If you haven't watched the other 2 videos, go back and check those out. I'll put them down in the comments. So in video 1, I introduced the 5 gessos we will be playing with, and those are going to be the Liquitex Clear Gesso. It's going to be the Dina Wakley Clear Gesso. It's going to be Winsor & Newton Clear Gesso. Finnabar's Art Basics Clear Gesso, and then another product that's not a gesso, but it's a different kind of primer. It's Absorbent Grounds from Golden. So in the first video, we talk about how they're all different, and then we test out some water-based watercolor medias in that video. Then video 2, we tested out pens, so paint pens, Sharpies, alcohol, ink pens, all those kind of things. And then in this video, we're just going to go over some of those things that kind of didn't fit in the other videos. So your acrylic paint, your spray inks, we're going to do some stamping to see which one accepts ink the best and gives you the best image. So stay tuned, and I hope this video is super helpful and super informative and helps you make the best choices in your Bible journaling. Thanks. Have a great day. All right, friends, we are back for video 3 in our Clear Gesso series. If you haven't watched them yet, go back and watch 1 and 2. In 1, we discussed the 5 different kinds of primers we're playing with, and then we also saw how they dealt with water-based mediums like your watercolors, your mermaid markers, and that kind of thing. In video 2, we tested out pens, so paint pens, Faber-Castell, Sharpies, alcohol ink, pens. So that's what we did in 2. And in this one, we're just going to try just a bunch of random stuff that didn't kind of fit into the other videos. So we're going to try stamping to see which particular Clear Gesso takes stamps the best. We're also going to try out some alcohol inks, some sprays, and just a couple other things that were sitting on my desk that I thought would be good to try out. If you've watched the other videos, you know that we kind of have it set up just like this. If you haven't, this is how I have it set up. So the top is going to be your Liquitex Clear Gesso. The middle one is going to be Dina Wakley's Clear Gesso by Ranger. The middle one that says WN is going to be the Winsor Newton Clear Gesso. The next one is going to be the Finnabar Clear Gesso that comes in a tube like this. And then the last one is actually an absorbent ground. So it's a primer that's meant to go on for watercolors. So you'll see it has a little bit more of an opaque finish. And so it covers the words just a smidge, but if you do a light coat, it's not too bad. It's not a deal breaker. You know me, I'm a don't cover the words kind of girl, but it's not bad. I can still read them, and it gives a really great texture for certain kinds of mediums. So today we're going to start with a couple of the kind of go-to things that I like to use in my art journal just to see how they do here in a Bible with these different clear gessos. The first one I'm going to try with is this mixed media spray from Marabou. I love using it in my art journals, but I've never really been able to use it on just plain Bible paper because it is so thin. So since we're going to use this for the rest of this for stuff, I'm going to just put a little piece of paper right here to cover that up. We're going to give it a good shake. Make sure we get all the yummy little bits. And then I'm going to spray it off camera just to make sure I've got it going. There we go. So we're just going to do just kind of a light coat down the side. I don't need to go too crazy. And you can see I have a piece back here. This is a piece of stuff called palette paper. So it has a very slick surface, so you can use it as a palette. But it also works really well to put behind your pages to keep your mediums from sticking and gluing your pages together and that kind of thing. So I use that all the time. So we're going to move this little guy. And just for ease of use so I don't put my hand in it later, I'm going to dry that off just a little bit. See what that looks like. You can see the smoother ones, it's definitely pulling quite a bit more than on the ones with the texture. It seems to be absorbing a little bit faster. And just for the sake of speed, I'm going to just blot those just a little bit so it'll dry a little bit faster. The big thing with these is because of the concentration of liquid to pigment ratio, it always bleeds through. So let's see what it does. So this is just from where I overdid it, sprayed it on the edge. So you can definitely see there's bleed through, bleed through, bleed through, bleed through even on that one. Cinnabar, some shadow. Other than this, this is where I goofed up and went a little heavy on the edge and it bled under. It didn't bleed through. There's some shadow, but it's not a complete bleed through like it is on all of the others. So I have to say, if you haven't watched the other videos, I've been actually really impressed with that one, and it seems like it might be my fave. I don't really know. We'll see what the end of this video brings. So next we're going to try some stamping. My go-to tends to be the Archival Ink series from Ranger because it is permanent once it is dry, and then that way I'm able to do all sorts of other things on top of it and not worry about lifting up my images and my texture and that kind of stuff. So I tend to always lean towards this. And so we get a good idea. I'm using some stamps from Illustrated Faith. So I've got a feather and some words. So I kind of wanted to see how both of those worked with the different textures. All right, so that is on the Liquitex, and you can definitely see in part of that feather that the texture definitely makes a difference. It did better on the words than I thought it would, though, so that's nice to know. All right, let me scoot this just a little bit closer. That way I can keep it all together. There we go. All right, let's try this one. So yeah, really great smooth image on that one. All right, let's do our Winsor Newton, which is one of our other ones with a lot of texture in it. And you can see the texture is coming through very similar to the Liquitex. It's coming through just a little bit, which isn't a deal breaker, but some people who like really crispy images might not like that. All right, Finbar. Is it Finbar or Finbar? Anybody know? So if I've been saying it wrong this whole time, I'm probably driving somebody crazy. Really great image on that one as well. The fact that it doesn't have that texture makes a big difference if stamping in your Bible is kind of one of your go-to things. And then let's try it on the absorbent ground. So if you didn't watch the first video, absorbent grounds are not a gesso. They are an acrylic-based primer that's specifically meant for things like watercolors, so that they don't absorb into your substrate. And you can definitely tell it definitely has some striations, which is kind of cool, actually, from when I painted it on with a paintbrush. That definitely stays in that kind of texture, I guess. It kind of stays in there. So you can definitely see the difference between the two that are smooth textures and the three that are a little bit more. So to the feel, this isn't super textury, but you can definitely see it come out in those striations whenever you stamp something on top of it. So that definitely makes a difference. If stamping is your kind of thing and what you like, you definitely want to stick with something that's a little bit more like one of these two that are a smoother texture, because you're going to definitely get more payout from your stamp than if you didn't. Next, we're just going to try just some plain old acrylic paint, which I haven't tried yet on any of these. Oh, we forgot to look at the back. Yeah, so you can see no bleed through on any of them. Shadowing, of course, on all of them because it's black, but not too bad. Definitely not deal breakers. Nothing broke through, so that's good to know. So it definitely protects your page when it comes to bleed through and that kind of thing. So I'm going to take just some green acrylic paint, and I am just going to paint a little swipe down. This is just plain craft paint. We're just going to do just a little line down. So there doesn't seem to be, when it comes to any pigments, any of that kind of thing, not really any difference in the color. Sometimes I noticed when we did the pens that depending on the gesso that was down, it altered the color slightly. Didn't really have that problem on this, so that's pretty cool. Good coverage, about even coverage on all of them. So you're not going to lose any of your opaqueness or your color values or anything like that whenever you're using any of these. And then let's flip it over. Yeah, no bleed through on any of them. That's from the top where I did that earlier. So yeah, so they're all good with acrylic paint, so that's super awesome. Now we're gonna try, I don't think this is gonna work well, but you know, we'll try it. So if you've watched any of my videos for gel press, you know I have a technique for using the gel press plates and my Faith Impressions line to do an alcohol ink transfer. However, I've never done just straight alcohol ink to a page with this, so let's see what happens. I don't know if it'll, if I was a betting woman, I'm going to say it's going to bleed through, but I could be wrong. So we're just going to just do, you can definitely see it's kind of feathering out, so. And you can see again, definitely the ones that have the more texture are keeping definitely a darker color, whereas my other ones tend to go light really fast, I think because they're drying faster because of that smooth surface, whereas the other ones have that texture, so it takes a little bit longer to dry. However, I do love this color. It's called Stream. It's one of my favorites. All right, so here's the kicker. Does it go all the way through? And yes. So definitely on that one, definitely on that one. So Winsor Newton and Fenimore, it doesn't appear like it went through at all, which is pretty fascinating. Yeah, definitely. Which is kind of funny because they're made by the same people. You think Ranger would be like, let's make a clear gesso that works great with our alcohol inks. That's all right. That's what I have my gel press plates for. So you can see all that. Really, that's the only ones that kind of bled through, and that might be because that's where I started, but still it bled through. Really great on that Winsor Newton. So I'm learning all sorts of stuff on what is working and what's not working. All right, let's try one more thing, and that is going to be, I have these really cool, they are glitter ink from Brie Reese. So it's an ink, so it's going to be permanent, but it has glitter in it, which is always super fun. And I'm actually going to use my little flower petal thing here, and we're going to paint this on. I just want to see if, I don't know if you can see how yummy that is. Can you see the glitter in that? I don't know if you can or not. Anyway, it has some really, really great glitter, but I have never used it because I didn't know how well it would work on my Bible journaling pages. So let's give that a try. So I'm just going to take a paintbrush and we're just going to paint a stripe down kind of like we did last time. It's really pretty. So unlike some of the other products and some of the other videos, my color value didn't change as I went across any of them. I will say the color seems to be spreading more on the Finnebar and the grounds, whereas in the other three it's staying pretty contained to the line that I drew. So you can see how it's kind of feathering itself out, whereas none of the other ones are. That one's dripping a little bit, but that's just drip. That's not feathering the way this one is. But the color value stayed, which is great. Because like I said, on some of the other videos, if you haven't watched them yet, some of the color values change just a little bit, depending on which medium you put it on. All right, let's check out, do the flip side. So you can see some shadow starting to peek through on the Dina Wakley one. Finnemore, once again, even the shadow isn't as prominent as on some of the other ones. You can tell these are practice pages. All right, so that is the end of our third video testing out different mediums of different varieties of clear gesso on the surfaces of our journaling Bible. If there's something I missed that you have that you love and you want me to give it a try, let me know and down in the comments, and I will try whatever I have available to me. I'll give it a try and test it out for you. If you haven't watched videos 1 and videos 2 in this series, go ahead and hop over there and watch those. I will put the links down in the comments. So I hope this series has been super informative and has helped you make some decisions about what's good and what is not so good in your journaling Bible. I'm going to put all this information into a blog post, which I will post with all the videos. And then that way you know exactly which particular medium is going to work best with which particular kind of clear gesso. And then you can find the one that is right for you. So thanks so much for stopping by and watching, and I will see you guys next time.